Now, some golden rules. Italics. Use italics for the titles of whole publications. So, a book title, the name of the actual journal that journal articles are published within, or website titles. Use Roman type non-italics for the titles of sections within whole publications, e.g. chapter titles or journal articles. Your reference list must be in alphabetical order. This makes it easier for the reader to locate them from the citations in the text. And be careful, the different elements of the reference in the reference list are separated differently. So as you saw previously, the who is normally finished with a full stop, the when is just in brackets, the what is followed by a comma typically, and the where is finished by a full stop. Now, positioning citations. Citations are positioned within the text itself and are included in your word count. They must include who produced the information, when it was published. They can be integrated or bracketed, and I'll give you an example of that now. So first, you have an example of an integrated citation. So the surname of the author is within the actual sentence. So Cottrell, and then 2008 in brackets, instructs students that expert sources should be trusted over personal opinions. And at the end of that, we've got a page number there that indicates where that information was pulled from in that source. The next example is two different sources being integrated into a sentence. So, this is a point echoed by Redman and Maples, open up the brackets, put the year inside, and Warburton, open up the brackets, put the year inside. Now the final example is an example of where you would write your sentence and just include the citation in brackets at the end. It has also been argued that evidence can be used stylistically rather than just used as a technical element. Open up your brackets, Greetham, comma, the year, close brackets. And those are the three separate examples of how you can include citations in text. Direct quotations must be in quotation marks, and you also need to include a page number if you pulled the information from a specific page. This typically is not required with websites. There are no page numbers for that information. An example here, Denscombe 2010 states that, and there's the first quotation mark, the use of case studies has become extremely widespread in social research, particularly with small-scale research. Close the quotation mark, open up the brackets to tell the reader which page number that came from, close the brackets, full stop. Now, that first example is an example of an integrated citation. This second example is the example of a bracketed citation. So it's exactly the same information. Open up the quotation mark straight away. The use of case studies has become extremely widespread in social research, particularly with small-scale research. Close the quotation mark. Open up the brackets. Put your author, comma, the year, colon, page 52. Close the bracket, full stop. So two examples there. One with a quotation that's with an integrated author and one with a bracketed author. Now, paraphrasing is a really important thing. You cannot just directly and copy or write information in a very, very, very similar way to what you have seen in articles, books. If you're going to paraphrase, they should not be in quotation marks, and you should substantially change the wording when you are including any information in your work. Still include a page number if the information has come from a specific page. Again, we've got an example there of an integrated paraphrase. So Denscombe 2010 suggests that case studies are especially suitable for small-scale social research projects. And as you can see there, the wording has been substantially changed from the quotation we previously saw. And then an example of that with the author in brackets at the end. Some scholars have argued that case studies are especially suitable for small-scale social research projects. However, there are some texts that are written by more than one author, which can take up a lot of words if you have to keep citing them. Fortunately, there is a shorthand you can use. This is et al., which from Latin means and others. If a text has one or two authors, cite their names every time you use that source in your work. If a text has 3 or more authors, use the first name and et al. From the first citation. In most histories, hobbyists have often been credited with driving personal computer development. And then the citation example here, you can see that Freiberger and Swain 2000 is the first inclusion of the source. We then use a semicolon, and then in the same brackets we've got Campbell, Kelly, et al. Full stop, comma, 2013, and then close brackets. Now the et al. There tells us that the second source in that bracket was written by 3 or more authors. And if we went down to the reference list of that written piece of work, we would then see all of those authors written out in the Harvard reference list. Another point here to make is that when you include multiple sources in one set of brackets, so in one citation, ensure that they are in chronological order for Harvard. Now, to cite or not to cite. Do cite direct quotations, paraphrases, factual information, ideas and arguments. Do not cite your own opinions or arguments, or common knowledge. Now, secondary referencing is also something that may be used. Sometimes you may come across a quotation or piece of information which is second-hand, i.e. quoted in another text. If you cannot find the original text, you should use a secondary reference. In text, William James once referred to psychology as the science of mental life. And then you can see in that bracket you've included 1890, which is when William James said that, and then you can see that you've got a comma as cited in Styles 2005. So in this example, you've been able to find the reference or the source which has been written by Styles in 2005, but you have not been able to find the original source from William James in 1890. In the reference list, all you have to include is the reference from Styles 2005. As you are unable to find the source which was written by William James in 1890, you do not have to include that in your reference list. And there we go, Styles 2005, which will then be found in the reference at the bottom of your work. Group referencing, which again is really important if you would like to gain those extra marks in your assignments and show that you can synthesize research. You can cite authors of multiple texts within one set of brackets, and is especially useful when grouping together authors who make similar points. For example, a number of authors agree that understanding the mechanics of referencing is essential to effective study practice. And again, if you can see here, we have all of these sources lined up in chronological order. So Vardis 2012, Cottrell 2013, Greetham 2013. Because 2013 is a year for two different sources there, then put those in alphabetical order. You may sometimes come across sources which do not have all of the information. There are some ways to get around missing information. If you have a missing author, check for a corporate author or use the first few words of the title. If you have a missing date, use the abbreviation N.D in place of the year. So Smith, comma, N.D, close brackets and full stop. And if the title is missing, try to create a logical title for the source yourself. If there is too much information missing, it may be worth finding a different source. And that is a very quick whistle-stop tour of some of the aspects of referencing that you should be aware of when using Harvard at Exeter.